All right, so you guys got a chance to graph C and D on your own. Notice both C and D had y-intercepts that were on the bottom half of the graph. They were both negative. So if you had a y-intercept for C or D that was up towards the top, then you know you did something wrong. And the thing that you might have done wrong is you forgot that you have to take into account that sign that's in front of the number. So this is not a positive 3 here. This is a negative 3 when I start on the y-axis. So for C, I started at negative 3 on the y-axis, then I did my up 3, right 4, up 3, right 4, okay? For D, I started at negative 1 because negative 1 was my y-intercept, and then noticing that my slope here was a negative 2/3. That means I'm going down 2 right 3, make a point. I ran out of room, so I had to go on the opposite side, and I had to do the opposite. So remember, the opposite would be, instead of down 2 right 3, I'm going up 2, whoops, yep, and then left 3 to find that next point, okay? So to find those points on the left side of the graph, you got to do the opposite of what you did in the beginning. So in the beginning, I took this negative and I had it with the 2. But after that, when I had to find points on the opposite side, I took the negative and put it with the 3. And we talked about that in lesson 20. So that should have been fairly familiar. All right, so let's look at exercise number 2. It says rewrite each equation in y equals mx plus b form and identify the slope and y-intercept, then graph the line on the grid. It says above, but we're not doing above because I gave you a new grid, so don't worry about it above. You're actually going to, graph it down there and label with the point. So basically the same things. Now, these look a little bit different though. So let's take a look at A. A says y equals x plus 4. I see nothing in front of the x. Usually we look for, our regular equation here. Our regular equation is y equals mx plus b, right? Well, where is the m in this case? We have to go back to what we learned about probably in 6th grade about variables. If there is no number in front of the variable, what is the hidden number that's in front of it? Well, it's a 1. All right. Remember, mathematicians are lazy. If we don't have to put a 1, we're not going to. So this tells me that my slope in this case, my m, is actually 1. And remember, we always want to put a slope into ratio form. So this is actually 1 over 1. So you got to remember 2 rules. The first rule is if there's no number in front of a variable, that number actually is a 1. It's just hidden. The other thing that you have to remember is in order to write a whole number as a fraction, we put it over 1. So this is actually 1 over 1, okay? Now my y-intercept we know is positive 4 because there's a plus 4 there, so my b equals 4. All right, so this should be fairly straightforward to graph. I'm going to go up 1, right 1, because these are both positive. So this top number is telling me up 1, okay? And this bottom number is telling me right 1, all right? It's always nice to label this if you feel like this helps you, because once you get these instructions down, then it's just plug and play. All right, it's just follow your own instructions. So your first instruction told you that the b was 4, which means I'm starting at positive 4 on my y-axis. I am now following my slope directions, which tell me to go up 1 and right 1. So up 1, right 1, make a point. Up 1, right 1, make a point. This one you don't even need guidelines for really because it's so easy. Up 1, right 1, okay? I found all the points on the right side of the graph, but I know there's going to be some points over here to the left side. Okay, where are those points? How would I find them? We have to remind ourselves, in order to find the opposite points on the opposite side of the graph, we have to do the opposite of the directions we've been doing. So instead of doing up 1, I'm going to go down 1. Instead of doing right 1, I'm going to go left 1. So I'm just flip-flopping. Boom, boom. Down 1, left 1, down 1, left 1, down 1, left 1. Here's all these other points that I found, okay? Since this slope is a positive 1, I got so many points here, all right, which is really cool. All right, so now last steps here. I'm going to clean this up. I don't have any guidelines, so that's good, all right? I don't have to clean those up. I do have to make my line, so I'm going to make that now, okay? Again, make it and then hit your select button. Make sure that it goes straight through all the points. Try to make it as neat as possible. All right. Last two steps, I need my arrows and I need to label it. So I'm going to label this y equals x plus 4. I'm not going to put the 1 because we don't need it, right? We are mathematicians. So if mathematicians don't put a 1, we don't have to put the 1. Okay? Y equals x plus 4. There you go. All right, you guys are going to try B and C on your own. Here's a little hint for C. First of all, B looks very similar to A, so that should be okay. C looks a little different. Let's remind ourselves. Remember, y equals mx plus b is our regular equation of a line, right? The equation, the slope-intercept form, okay? We have the slope. The slope is this 2. But what is the intercept? I don't see a plus or a minus a number at all. Well, we got to remember, what's the number that you can add or subtract to anything and it doesn't change anything? Or when mathematicians add or subtract it, you don't get anything, so we don't put it. And that number is 0. So actually, this equation right here, I'm going to help you for those of you who have still stayed on this video. This is actually 2x plus 0. And what does that tell me? That tells me that my intercept is the origin. I start at 0, 0 for line C. So good luck with this. I'll see you guys in the next video.